Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. This is the second lecture video in the series of lectures for managerial economics. In today's video, I am going to discuss the tools of analysis. The tools of analysis has certain concepts that is going to be prevalent throughout the subject of managerial economics. These tools or the concepts that I'm going to discuss today will be helpful and will be a recurrent theme in the chapters that will come forth. So let me share the slides with you. There are mainly four concepts that I'm going to discuss today. First is the concept of opportunity cost. Now, what is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is actually the second best alternative that one forgoes or sacrifices, and the economic gain that could have been achieved uh, if one had taken up that alternative. That is what is known as opportunity cost. So let me explain it with the help of an example. Suppose there are two projects, project 1 and project 2. Project 1, if you invest your money in project 1, you will get the return of 20 million rupees. But if you invest in project 2, it gives you return of 18 million rupees. So a rational decision maker would definitely uh, invest his in money in project number 1 that is going to give more returns. Here we suppose that all the other things that all the other determinants that affect the decision making process of an investment remain same, that they are not they are neutral in case of both of these projects. So we are only considering the return in this case. So if the return of project 1 is greater than the return of project 2, definitely one is going to invest in the project which is going to give more return. So in this case, the firm's manager will definitely put his money in project 1. So what is happening here? You are foregoing alternative 2, that is project 2, that you are not going to invest your money in that project. So here you are foregoing second best alternative, which might give you 18 million in return. So this in economic sense becomes the cost, opportunity cost, or that amount that you could have gained have you invested in the alternate, in that second best alternative. So this foregone or the amount sacrificed in economic jargon, it, you might think that you are not sacrificing anything, but when there are choices in the economic sense, it is considered as a sacrifice, that you are not putting your money in that second option but in the first one. So you are somewhere foregoing this rupees 18 million that you could have earned in, and you have selected project 1. Why it is also another reason for calling it as an opportunity cost, that second best option also gives you a yardstick. Somewhere it gives you a yardstick that now you must get return which is greater than 18 million, because that was your second best alternative and you have decided not to invest into it because you come up with a better alternative that is giving you 2 millions more than this. So now you must achieve at least this minimum of 18 million return. So this is the concept of opportunity cost. How it is being utilized? It is being utilized by the firm's by the manager uh, uh, while taking certain decision regarding investment and other decision where they are faced with the choices of alternatives. So they use also this opportunity cost concept in order to take certain decision. Moving on to the next one, that is the principle, marginal principle or principle of marginality. Now, let me first explain what is the what does the marginal means in economic terms. In economics, this when we say when we use the term marginal, it simply means the change in one variable due to the unit change in any other variable that is affecting the variable number 1. Now, to put it, to simplify it, suppose your output means production. You know, it is if you are increasing your production, if you're manufacturing something and well, you are producing nothing. Here you can look at this diagram. When you are producing nothing, it is 0, and at that time you are your total cost is 300. Now you might ask why there is a total cost when there is no output, because that is the concept of fixed and variable cost that I will discuss in the chapters to come. So there will, because of the fixed cost, there will always be some amount of cost will be there even if there is no production. So at 0 output, total cost is 300. Here it is in terms of millions. Then at the output level of 1, it becomes 1800. And then at the output level 2, when you are manufacturing 2 units of anything, at that time your total cost increase to 2000, and at 3 it is 2100, and 4 2200, 2250. So likewise, how we arrive at the marginal cost, if you want to understand the marginal cost in this case, we simply has to keep subtracting the succeeding one with the preceding one. So at the level of output of 2, the marginal cost is 200. How we arrive at it? The total cost at the level of 2 minus the previous total cost, or the total cost at the level 1. So 2000 minus 1800 here, that gives us 200 marginal cost. So now how this marginal concept, or how this marginal cost is important? So from the table itself you can see that when we are increasing our output, our total cost is increasing, but our marginal cost is decreasing from 1500 to 200 to 100. So a rational decision maker, or a rational uh, economic agent, will always want to minimize this marginal cost. So what he will do, he will say, okay, let's produce the level at the level at which the marginal cost is minimum. So here in this case, at the level of output of 3 units, marginal cost is 100. Okay, but once you produce 4 units of output, you are seeing that your marginal cost is now started to go up. From 100 it has become 150, and then it is increasing 350, and then 700. So why to increase our marginal cost? Because the output, however output is high, okay, but your marginal cost is also increasing. So you would want to minimize your cost, and in order to minimize your cost, you will look at this. So marginal cost is actually with every unit increase in the output, the change in the uh, total cost, that is marginal cost. From unit 0 to unit 1, the marginal cost is very high, 1500. But the moment you start, you produce 2 units of a product, your marginal cost becomes 200. So anyone would want to go at the level 2 instead of simply producing 1 unit of output. Why? Because you are producing 1 unit and your total cost is so much, it is not spread. So marginal cost, or the concept of marginal principle, helps in determining both the cost and the revenue. Now, the rule is when you want to maximize the profit in a competitive market, mm, you can the rule of thumb is when the marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue, at that level profit is maximized. That these things we will discuss in detail when I am teaching you about the markets and various types of market. So as of now, I'll simply tell you that when marginal cost is equal to the marginal revenue, when both these things are equal, that is the point, break even point, you can say, where the profit is maximum. So this concept also helps the manager in taking a decision regarding output level or the production level. It may help a firm manager of the firm in deciding about the level of the production with the help of marginal cost and marginal revenue. So here the marginal principle is very much important, because apart from applying it to the cost and revenue functions, you will see that it will be utilized in order to find out utility, and in order to find out the level of production, and in order to find out the best input, the factors in combination uh, in, in the chapter of theory of production. Now, moving on to the third principle, that is the concept of equi-marginal principle. Now we know about the marginal concept, so it is easier to understand this one. As the name suggests, equi-marginal principle. Here we are extending the marginal principle to a next level, where we want to we will see that the marginal productivity becomes equal. That is why it is equi-marginal principle. Now, marginal productivity becomes equal of what and for what? So what happens when a firm is involved in the production of more than one thing, which is generally the case, or when a manager is faced with a decision where he has so many alternative or so many projects in which he has to invest the funds, and funds will always be a fixed amount at one given point. Funds will be in a fixed amount. Okay, so suppose if a manager has at his hand 100 million rupees, okay, and he has uh, say project three projects, project A, B, and C, as you can see here in the schedule uh, on the slide, that the three projects. So he has to make a choice of how much of 100 million rupees to be invested in project A or project B and project C. So one can say that okay, whichever is giving the highest return. Okay, but sometimes it's not that easy, or it is not so clearly mentioned that only project A is giving the highest return or project B is giving the highest return. They may give good returns at one time, and other one is giving better return at the other time. So all of these projects suppose is giving good return. So then how to make a choice between them? Then what happens? Then the marginal productivity of all these projects has to be calculated. In this schedule, it is mentioned here. This is hypothetical one, however, that the marginal productivity of each of these products are given in stage wise. So it is the, if you look at the table, it says that project A is giving 50 in terms of millions of rupees, 50, or simply utils, you can say 50 utils of marginal productivity. I'll discuss the concept of utility in the next chapter. So 50, and then at first stage, means at the first stage, if you are spending say 20 million out of 100 million in project A, it will give you 50 marginal productivity. But if you invest same amount of money in project B, it will give you 40 marginal productivity, and if you invest that 20 million in project C, it will give you 35 marginal productivity. So clearly we can see project A is giving higher marginal productivity 50, project B is giving a bit less, and project C is giving the least marginal productivity at this stage. But we see from the table that the second batch of investment, say another 20 million rupees, if you are going to invest in project A, then the marginal productivity that it was giving at the first stage, that was 50, now it is only 45. So somewhere marginal productivity of project A is decreasing with each successive investment. So more investment we are making, marginal productivity is going down, it is not increasing. Okay, this is actually the concept of diminishing marginal productivity that I will discuss in the later chapter, that why marginal productivity diminishes. But at this point, I will only keep you to this major concept of equi-marginal principle. So here we can clearly see the marginal productivity in project A and B and C. In all these three cases, it is decreasing, okay, with each successive batch of investment. First, because generally we do not invest whole amount at one time. Okay, so I have say 100 million rupees with me. I divide into 5 batches of 20 million. I invest first 20 million in project A, and it is giving me 50 marginal productivity. Then again I am investing the second batch, suppose after 6 months or so, then the marginal productivity that I am getting from the project A is now 45, and the third one is 35, fourth at 20, and the fifth one is 10. If I invest the same amount in project B, the marginal productivities that it is going to give me is 40 in the first batch, which is lesser than project A. It also is diminishing, then from 40 to 30, 20, 10, and then it becomes 0 at the fifth stage. Means if I am going to invest the last batch of my 100 million in project B, then I am not getting any marginal productivity. It is 0. Now in case of project C, it is 35, 30, 20, 15, and 12. So what is happening here? In the concept of equi-marginal principle, I would keep on investing alternatively in all of these projects until my marginal productivity from all of these three different projects becomes equal, means 20, 20, 20. So when it is become equal, in case of project A, I will invest till the fourth point, then it will come to 20. In project B, till third batch, it is giving me 20. And after that, at the fourth batch, it is giving me the marginal productivity of 10, which is lesser than the equi-marginal productivity. So I will not invest any further, only up to third batch. And in case of project C also, the marginal productivity becomes 20, which is equivalent to others at the third stage. So what and how the firm's manager generally decides in this case? What they do, they will invest first batch of their investment in project A, which is giving the highest one for 50. Then the second batch, they will invest in project A again, because it's still it is 45. The third batch of the investment, they will switch over to project B, which is giving me 40 marginal productivity, which is higher than the project A's third batch, which is only 35. So the first and second batch of investment will go to project A, third batch will go to project B, fourth batch will go to project A and project C, you can see. Then the fifth batch, they may invest in project B or C, either of that, because both are giving 30-30. And the fifth batch will go to project A again because it is 20, and it can also go to project B and C depending upon if you still have that kind of money. So you will keep on investing in the combination of these different projects until their marginal productivity becomes equal. This is the concept of equi-marginal principle. Okay, and with this, I will now move on to the next and the last concept, that is the principle of increment or incremental principle. Now, this is the principle. This is an extension of marginal principle as well. What happens here, that we saw that in case of marginal principle, we were able to distinguish the unit change in the dependent variable due to the unit change in the independent variable. Okay, if you are increasing your production level from 1 to 2, you were able to find out how much there will be change in marginal cost or marginal revenue, because total cost at each and every level was available. That is why we were able to find out the change at every unit from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. But sometimes in certain sector, manufacturing sector, it is not possible to find out the unit change in the cost or the revenues. It is not easy to determine that, because the product are such that they are produced in bulks rather than in single unit. And it happens in most of the things. Suppose you are manufacturing screws, or pins, smaller items like that. So it's very difficult to find out the cost of one screw because they are being actually made into bulk item. However, it is easy to find out unit change in case of larger, bigger items, in case of aeroplanes and all, because what is you can easily find out, because such a big item, how much is the cost of making one aeroplane? Of course, it is easy, and then two aeroplanes. So there will be a big change, substantial change that you are able to find out. The cost will be substantial, but in case of smaller items, it is not easy to find out the change in the cost or the revenue because of the production of one more unit or sale of one more unit. So in that case, we use this incremental cost of incremental cost or incremental revenue principle. For an example, we can see that if we want to change or install a new plant in our factory, so we can look at our estimates of what what is the revenue now and what will be the revenue once we have installed the new plant. you know because new plant will increase the production and the sales. So what will be the new revenue, and also what will be the new cost? So due to the change in our plant infrastructure, what will be the pre and the post revenue and the cost? Okay, so here you are not finding out the cost or the revenue due to the change in one unit of more production of a commodity, but a larger scale change. So we can see that this principle of increment or the incremental principle is also applicable in case of the changes in the cost and revenue which is arising due to the decision making in that involves large increase in the total cost or the revenue. So whenever there is a business decision that involves large increase in the total cost or the total revenue, so in that case we use this incremental principle, because the change in the cost or the revenue is happening because of the business decision, instead of the change in the production level. Okay, So this is the principle which similar to marginal principle. The only difference is here we are not making any unit by unit change in the cost or the revenue. So these four actually are very important concepts of economics, and which is being um, used in managerial economics as well. And these tools of analysis is very much helpful for the manager, and it is a recurrent theme throughout the chapters to come. So with this, today's video is complete. Thank you.